my ex-boyfriend lived nearby, he was obsessed with me, and he never slept because he was addicted to Adderall.
Hello, welcome to my super secret channel, Mind for Story. Today I want to talk about binds in Chapter 17 of The Good Place.
I'm in a bit of a bind.
Believe it or not, I actually completely randomly choose my themes each week. Alright, quick reminder, I spoiled the stories, so please don't watch my videos if you have not watched The Good Place all the way through to the end. Now, this whole chapter is about one big bind that all four of the humans and Michael are stuck in together. And Janet does get wrapped in there as well, but not really with stakes of her own at this point. She does point out that stealing a real Good Place Janet didn't help Michael with his project.
Because you keep failing.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Michael fails a lot. I mean, so does everyone in this story. This whole team up is actually a product of Michael deciding to move on from the failure of his neighborhood. This is an admission that it does not work as he intended it. And when he does so, it makes space for something new, which is everything else that follows after this point in the story. But getting back to the big mess of a bind that they are all in this chapter.
Circumstances have changed, and now all of us teaming up is our best option.
The circumstances being that they keep figuring out they're in the bad place. And then Michael has to keep rebooting them. And now the other demons aren't enjoying the job anymore, and they're mad at him.
One of my employees is blackmailing me.
And because now Vicky is blackmailing him.
My boss gave me 2 chances to make this work. Suffice to say, I tried more than 2 times.
And then Michael tells them why he's blackmailable. His boss only granted him the 2 attempts. And now when Michael does get found out, he will be in a much worse situation. He's gonna... because he did not follow that line. He did not stop at 2.
This is a trick. There's no way we trust him. I agree.
I know I don't do summary generally, but the entire thing, this is, like I said, I pick my themes randomly, but this theme has led to me summarizing. Thankfully, all the clips are doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. But Eleanor believes this is just a new trick of Michael's. It's just a new way to keep torturing them now that they know that they are in the bad place. And Hani actually agrees that he could be lying.
How can we possibly trust you?
You can't.
Eleanor asks Michael why they should trust him. He's very candid. He tells them that they shouldn't, but it's really the only option.
What happens if we don't?
And then when Chidi asks what will happen if they don't agree to this plan...
I reboot you once more. You figure it out again. Vicky tells my boss he shuts everything down.
Michael spells out all the stakes along with the likely consequences.
I get punished. You end up spending the rest of eternity in the real bad place.
Or the likely sequence of events.
Trust me, don't trust me, it doesn't matter. We're running out of time, and I'm your only option.
Eleanor balks at the way Michael is putting the pressure on them here.
Then you better get cracking on a new plan, Pally, because so far I haven't heard a single good reason why I should help you.
So now it's clear the pressure isn't going to work. Michael changes tactics.
I can get you to the real good place.
And he offers them something they would definitely want.
Will they even let us stay?
Gotta be honest, I have no idea. But at least if you help me fool Vicky, your brains don't get erased every 2 weeks.
And that is really why Chidi and Tahani are considering the team up for real, much more seriously than Eleanor is.
I think we have to do it.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
So now Eleanor and Chidi are at odds with each other. Technically, well, really, Eleanor's at odds with all of them. Because they want to handle this situation differently, and that makes Eleanor angry. Tahani, actually, originally, she insists that there was a mistake and she shouldn't be in this situation at all in the first place, because she definitely belongs in the real good place. To which Michael offers to show her how she died, and the full memory actually starts with a terrible interview she was part of.
So we should talk more about that.
Perhaps we should. But first, another question about Camilla.
Why doesn't this reporter just ask questions about Tahani, as she is the person being interviewed here? I think it's because the assignment was always Camilla. And it feels like the world of media or entertainment or whatever thinks it's permissible to treat celebrities and those close to them as commodities rather than humans, and just expect them to perform in desired ways at the drop of a hat. And I'm narrowing in on one subset of all of us, but I kind of think it's maybe sometimes it seems like people would rather invest in celebrities than in the people around them. There's definitely a boom in parasocial relationships with all the options available now. But choosing to invest your time and energy towards celebrities rather than the people who are, right in front of you, who you can have a two-way interaction with or build a relationship with. I think it's a mix with this particular interviewer here. I think it's a mix of what her job has taught her is okay to do and what the world at large has taught her is okay to do. And I think you can tell that I don't think it's okay. I'm not okay with it. Pay attention, like real genuine attention to the people that are right in front of you, please. Thank you. I'm saying this from the other side of the screen. Maybe I should not be the person making this point. Anywho, after this terrible interview, Tani does go and confronts her sister at the induction ceremony, or the party related to the induction ceremony into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And she has a public meltdown, Tani, where in part of it is she pulls a gold statue of Camilla down on top of herself. That is how she dies. Now, after she remembers all this, Tani is very upset, and Michael actually does try to comfort her.
Imagine you're me, and you're designing a torture chamber for people who think that they belong in the good place. I mean, you were perfect.
Somewhere I Belong by Linkin Park. That's the first reference that this line brings to mind for me. Or it makes me think of a little clip of Baby Dumbo thinking they're playing with someone in a nice way, waving their ears about, but the guy's actually making fun of them and being mean. These are the sort of things I think of when I hear lines along, think you belong, when people think they belong. Personally, I've lived long stretches of my life expecting to just not belong, and I can tell you it's not recommended. I would not recommend it. It's really hard to connect to people when you're coming from a place of distrust or suspicion, all just in an effort to avoid feeling rejected. I've heard of failure quotas, and one woman I heard of, she set a rejection quota. And I'm kind of considering it for myself. I'm not as bad as I used to be with the avoidance, but I mean, you can always stand to improve when it comes to putting yourself out there. Or I need to stop saying you. I'm not talking like you've done anything wrong. I can always stand to put myself out there more. And I think I'll just start small. One little rejection, a tiny one. Probably ask one of my teenagers to do something with me and get it over real quick. Now that Tani knows how she's died, she has flipped and wants to team up with Michael so that she has a real chance of becoming a better person.
Yet again, it's everyone against Eleanor, because everyone except Eleanor is an idiot. Why am I the only person who clearly sees what's going on here?
Eleanor thinks the rest of them are not smart, but that's not what's happening here. And then Chidi says, what he says.
It's not that we don't understand the risks. We just want to become better people, and this is our best chance.
And it makes Eleanor kind of feel like she's being judged for not prioritizing becoming a better person when it means making this deal.
My very survival now depends on you, the cockroaches, agreeing to help me.
So this moment is horrifying from both perspectives, with just the same exact information. It's horrifying from Eleanor and the rest of the humans' perspective, because Michael has just told them he views them as cockroaches. And if you take the time and you step onto Michael's side of this, it's horrifying for Michael to realize that he has to rely so heavily on beings that he views so lowly. And Honestly, this line, this little bit of dialogue here, it highlights the entire dilemma of the whole bind in one neat little metaphorical knot.
Whatever Michael's reasons for doing this, he's giving us the best chance to improve ourselves.
So the whole situation is turned upside down by this point, and Chidi is trying to persuade Eleanor to go with his, this plan. But when Eleanor says
I need to just untangle all of this.
what she meant was she was going to slip free of this whole thing and run away.
I'm going to Mindy's. But look at what you're asking me to do. Make a deal with an actual devil so that I can then do homework in secret.
Eleanor spells out what Chidi and the rest of them are asking of her, making it clear she does not think this is a good deal.
Who cares that it's only been a week? How long do you have to know someone before you do the right thing?
But what Chidi says about doing the right thing, it gets to Eleanor because she decides to ask Michael.
How many times in all the reboots did I ask Chidi for help, he refused to help me, and then I had to get better on my own?
Never. He always helped me.
Now there's this new bind for Eleanor, a new element of the older, bigger bind. However you want to talk about that. Now Eleanor knows she does owe Chidi, because every time, more than 800 times, he helped her when she asked for help.
I think Michael is a liar. I think there's a 99% chance he's forking with us. But he's asking us for help, so we should help him.
But Eleanor adds her own demands to what Michael has to agree to for this team up to work.
The professor over here is gonna give us all lessons on how to be better people, including you.
He has to take the ethics lessons with the rest of them.
What's it gonna be? You're running out of time, and we're your only option.
And then she throws back the line he threw at them earlier. She reminds him the situation he's in.
Told Vicky that I would handle the surveillance on the four of you. That'll let us meet each day for Chidi's ethics lessons.
Once they've all come to this agreement, the situation really does seem a lot easier because Michael is going to be covering their surveillance. So they can sort of expect to be left alone or given a heads up when they're about to be tortured at this point. But I wanted to acknowledge Michael. He doesn't want to do these classes, but he is accepting their terms with a pretty good attitude at this point. So I guess my hope for him, and for anyone who is also submitting themselves to things they'd rather not do, is that they find that it's not so bad.
I'm not allowed to lie, but my purpose is to make humans happy.
And Janet has her own little mini bind, but she gets around that pretty quickly.
And since you're the only actual humans here, I'm on board for whatever fun little schemes you guys come up with.
It's more like a snag than a bind. But I do think that it's worth mentioning.
We can do this. Team Cockroach on 3.
I'm going to try to imagine being Janet here in the team huddle. Happy to be included. I am not burdened by this. My mind is clear. I'll be on standby, waiting to be needed. There is a weightlessness. Honestly, I'm trying to imagine being Janet as opposed to anyone else in this group at this time. And it's nice. It's weird, but good. And I can't tell if I'm at all accurate, but it's the sense I get off of her because she's so cheerful throughout this entire episode, which is so at odds with what's going on. But she really is. She's the only one who isn't really under threat right here. What are my takeaways on binds? Well, first of all, they're not generally just one side versus one other side. They get messy because there are many perspectives and competing interests as there are parties involved in whatever bind. I think the way out of a bind is understanding the others involved, understanding the stakes. I think a big one is understanding what you yourself need versus what you yourself want. And I think you have to be willing to do something you don't want to do because compromise needs to happen usually when these situations arise. I think that's the biggest, hardest part about binds. To get out of one, you do have to be willing to do or accept something that you don't want. So let me know if you see another way out of tricky binds like the one we just examined here in The Good Place. And I hope you have a lovely day.
How long do you have to know someone before you do the right thing?
9 weeks minimum.
Okay.